Hi guys, I'm Catarina, and today I want to share with you some of my learnings about this beautiful planet we live on, the history of it. It's so beautiful. And one day I was actually very curious of how the whole world was actually starting. So it took a long time to learn everything, so I wanted to make a presentation about it. And the presentation went very well. It actually made very well. So I wanted to share it with you guys, and I hope you learn with me. And here we go. It all started 4.5 billion years ago. Back then, there was just dust in the middle of nowhere in space, but then gravity started bringing the dust together, compressing it so hard that it made the Earth a big ball of rocks and fire. Now, gravity didn't just pull all the dust together, it also pulled a small planet called Theia towards our young planet. This planet slammed Earth so hard it got Earth's planet spinning very fast. Actually, back then, a full spin would actually last 6 hours. Yeah, like just 6 hours. The derbies from the impact also created a moon, so that's why you have such a beautiful moon up there. Cool, isn't it? For 20 million years, meteors were crashing down to the Earth, bringing ice and water. Since the Earth was mostly a ball of burning lava, the ice melts and cools the Earth, making a solid crust, and the meteors kept on falling until the crust was just covered with water. Our planet was then filled with water and probably looked very calm on the surface, but under the crust and the surface, lava was building up and started making volcanoes. These volcanoes formed the first blocks of land above water. But there was no atmosphere in our planet, so nothing could live here. It was like our moon, but just covered with water and a few islands actually popping out a bit of water. With the activity under the crust, the volcanoes started to move around and crashed into each other, making large islands. Do you know what that means? Continents are forming. Yay! Our planet is starting to shape up. For billions of years, meteors kept falling into our planet. That's a lot of time. It's now 3.5 billion years ago, and there are other things coming from the meteors like carbon, mineral, primitive proteins, and amino acids. So these minerals, carbon and primitive proteins and amino acid that fell into the water formed the first colonies of bacteria in the planet. So yes, this is where it starts. The start of all the life that's going to come into here. And these bacterias that fell into the ocean are called stromatolites, and we can still find these ancient fossils of stromatolites. Maybe sometime some scientists or something they actually go to the ocean and try to find these stromatolites, and they do an experiment with them. These stromatolites go through a process called photosynthesis that includes water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight. That we have plenty in our planet back then and today to make oxygen and glucose. This photosynthesis process over a period of 2 billion years ago. Yes, 2 billion years got us an atmosphere. A thin layer of oxygen now covers this planet. So our planet is no longer like the moon filled with water. We have an atmosphere. And now it's 1.5 billion years ago. The planet has slowed down, it's fast spinning, and the days last 16 hours. Much slower than the 6 hours that we had 3 billion years earlier, but way faster than 24 hours a day in our world. And our planet was smooth on the outside, where things started to take shape and atmosphere So because we had an atmosphere, we had water, we had land, and continents are coming, but still very hot and active on the inside. And things start to get a bit in little trouble or tricky. With the pressure of the inner core of our planet, the crust of the Earth keeps moving around for hundreds of millions of years. The Earth continents change their shapes and positions. It's like there are huge earthquakes every day all over the planet. Unfortunately, no one was living there back then. Uh-oh, the volcanoes are back and throwing lots of smoke and carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. With all the smoke, the sun can barely be seen. Because the sun is covered by all the smoke from the volcanoes, the earth starts chilling out. And there's a pun intended, okay? Things start to get real cold in here. This is a period known as Snowball Earth, because our planet right now is a big snowball. But wait, something is happening. Remember those volcanoes? Yes, they keep coming again and again, melting the ice slowly, and the sun is now heating our cold planet. Whoa! Below the ice and under the sea, there are sea creatures in the ocean. Who would have known? You, because of this video. And how did this happen? Well, remember those stromatolites? Well, over hundreds of millions of years, they have evolved and became these sea creatures, and some of them look familiar in a way. With the planet heating up, all that ice starts to melt slowly and goes back to normal, and land under the ice shield reappears. The planet is heating up again, but the radiation of the sun would not allow any life to develop on the surface, so continents were like empty-looking deserts. But as our atmosphere was made up of oxygen that the stromatolites had produced, and now there was no ice covering the seas, they're producing more. Well, the oxygen went in contact with the sun radiation and produces a gas called ozone, which is lighter than air and stays at the top of the atmosphere. I know you're wondering, what can be lighter than air? This ozone gas layer protects the planet from deadly radiation, and guess what? Now, life is now possible on the surface of our young planet. Hooray! Slowly, plants start growing on the surface, and they serve food for other creatures who start coming out of the ocean, mutating life to the surface of the planet. Another 100 million years go by, and those creatures have become more complex than they were before. This is called the Permian period, with very interesting creatures populating our planet. Unfortunately, our planet was still reshaping itself to not so friendly, but it's still fragile, this first generation of living creatures on the surface. And those volcanoes kept erupting, flooding large parts of these planets with lava, burning all the vegetation and increasing the level of carbon dioxide, which is CO2, producing acid rain. The sea becomes pink and methane gases are released into the atmosphere. All this life on the surface had very poor. They were just so poor because they were very fragile, and they were the first ones in life. And this is called the Permian extinction. Another 50 million years go by, and the Earth kept changing its shape to become one big continent from pole to pole. It's called Pangaea. It was its cradle for the new and much resistant form of life, one that fascinates everyone. Dun dun dun! The dinosaurs! Dun, dun, dun. Just kidding, no. But then, here are some cool dinosaurs that walked around our planet for 180 million years ago. There are many dinosaurs. They have different facts for each of them. For the Brontosaurus, the name actually, if you Google it up, then that means thunder lizard. The Pachyrhinoceros means thick-nosed lizard, and the Dimophodon weighed less than a liter of water. The Tyrannosaurus rex, or T-Rex, as you say, has 60 razor teeth, and the Pterodon, I think, is a carnivore, and the Velociraptor, also named as Swift Robber, not the Taylor Swift that we know, no, not that one. And then the dinosaurs ruled the planet for over 100 millions of years. Around 65 million years ago, the first mammals started to appear. Some of these mammals look familiar. It's like we've seen them before. I think it's just me. Here are some cool mammals that lived in the earth back then. They are the ancestors of some of the mammals that we know today. They're actually, I have no idea how do they even call each other, because that is very hard to call each other, because like Simildon, well, okay, the mammoth is easy, but then the other ones are really hard. And for a few millions of years, dinosaurs and mammals shared the planet, living of the food that was available for the vegetation, or fighting and eating each other. Survival depended on strength, ability to adapt, and intelligence, and a bit luck too. Those who had the best combination had a bit of an advantage. And life went on until one day some external fact, very external actually, changed the course of things forever. 66 million years ago, a huge meteor that came out of nowhere hit our beautiful planet and changing life forever. The impact happened near the Gulf of Mexico. It was so strong the planet was covered with burning debris called ejecta, setting everything on fire. Ejecta rained down on the earth, causing havoc, killing many animals that lived on the earth. Many of the world's forests burned or died because of the smoke that covered the planet. In the aftermath, entire forests were killed, leaving little food for the animals that survived. Bulky with no way to hide, very dependable of large amounts of vegetation to feed themselves. All the dinosaurs were wiped out. So this is why we don't have dinosaurs today. Species were smaller and that needed less food were more adaptable, could protect themselves and learn how to survive the environment. And just out of curiosity, recently scientists said if a meteor actually arrived 30 seconds earlier or later, it would have fell either in the Pacific or the Atlantic Ocean, and perhaps not. The damage wouldn't actually be that strong, and who knows? We could still have dinosaurs out there. Could you imagine? Actually, that would kind of be a mess because there's going to be more there's not going to be any more plants in here. How are we going to get any plants in here? And they're very huge. So instead of cars, we're just going to have dinosaurs all around. 47 million years ago, the dinosaurs were fully extinct from the planet. Small birds, insects, and small reptiles and smaller mammals survived. Our beautiful planet was all theirs to live in harmony. No more monsters. The planet was finally calming down to what we have today. Some volcanoes and earthquakes here and there, but no dramatic changes. But very well developed species with a larger brain, smarter than the ones which are very adaptable, and started to dominate. So after 4.46 billion years ago of preparation, this planet was finally to get ready for the species to develop and become more dominant creatures of this planet. What a responsibility we have on our hands. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope I will see you soon.